The next 6 months could determine whether homeowners face significant equity losses or manage to weather the storm. With housing supply reaching a 5-year high and nearly half of sellers offering concessions to buyers, the market has clearly shifted. Trump's proposed tariff policies stand at the heart of this market vulnerability. I've analyzed Redfin's latest housing report, revealing 8 crucial metrics that illuminate the market's precarious state amid these regulatory uncertainties. In this short video, we'll examine each metric supported by detailed graphics that collectively reveal today's housing market dynamics. These 8 metrics are must-know information for anybody who is buying, selling, owning, or working within the real estate industry. Today's housing market is showing clear signs of vulnerability that could worsen if economic uncertainty increases, and I've got the data to prove it. The latest numbers from Redfin tell a compelling story about a market that's dramatically shifting from the frenzy we witnessed during the pandemic. Let's start with a crucial metric that reveals just how much the market has cooled. In March, homes that went under contract spent an average of 47 days on the market, marking the longest time frame for any March since 2019. This is particularly telling because March typically kicks off the spring buying season when we'd expect to see increased buyer activity and faster sales. Instead, homes are sitting unsold for significantly longer periods. During the height of the pandemic buying frenzy, homes sold in less than half that time, with buyers making offers sight unseen and waiving inspections. This slowdown varies dramatically by region. In Fort Lauderdale, homes that went under contract took 88 days, a striking 24 days longer than a year ago, representing the largest increase among all metros analyzed and nearly double the national average. Miami and West Palm Beach follow closely, with properties sitting 19 additional days compared to last year. San Francisco stands as the only metro where homes sold 1 day faster year over year. This prolonged market duration dovetails with an unprecedented surge in active listings, which hit a 5-year high in March. This inventory growth occurs on 2 fronts. Existing listings remain on market longer while new listings enter at accelerated rates. New listings reached their highest level since July 2022, climbing 0.7% month over month on a seasonally adjusted basis and 6% year over year. The surge in new listings indicates many homeowners who waited for lower interest rates have decided to list anyway, intensifying competition among sellers as buyers now have substantially more options. Economic factors weigh heavily on buyer confidence. Redfin senior economist Elijah Delacampa observed, tariff fears and widespread economic uncertainty are making homebuyers nervous, so if sellers don't lower their price expectations, home sales may slow in the coming months. This captures the hesitation potential buyers feel as they navigate high housing costs alongside broader economic concerns. The combination of slower sales and increasing inventory creates a fundamental market shift affecting pricing power. When homes take longer to sell and more properties compete for buyer attention, sellers lose leverage. This market rebalancing represents a shift from an extreme seller's market to a more balanced one across many regions. The practical impact gives buyers something they haven't had in years: options and negotiating leverage. They can now take time comparing properties, negotiate on price, and request concessions like repair credits or closing cost assistance when sellers are overpriced. No longer forced to make snap decisions or waive contingencies to have offers considered. Looking at the numbers, the median home sale price reached $431,000 in March, representing a mere 2.5% increase compared to last year. This tepid growth rate is the slowest we've seen since September 2023, signaling a fundamental change in market dynamics. What's particularly interesting is that list prices have actually been growing faster than final sale prices, clear evidence of the widening gap between what sellers hope to get and what buyers are willing to pay. Today's buyers approach transactions with caution, weighing economic uncertainties, elevated housing costs, and stubbornly high mortgage rates. This market shift has created a scenario where sellers must adjust their expectations and strategies to close deals. As price growth stalls, sellers are increasingly compelled to offer concessions to attract buyers. According to Redfin's latest data, 44.4% of all U.S. home sales in the first quarter included substantial seller concessions, approaching the all-time record high of 45.1% seen at the start of 2023. When offers fall short of expectations, sellers now cover significant repair costs, contribute thousands toward closing expenses, or buy down mortgage rates to secure transactions. Regional concession patterns reveal significant market disparities. Seattle led the nation with 71.3% of home sales including concessions during the first quarter, almost double from a year earlier. Meanwhile, New York showed the opposite trend with only 5.5% of sales including concessions, down from 21.2% a year ago. These regional differences highlight how market conditions vary significantly across the country. The combination of price reductions and concession tells an even more compelling story. During the first quarter, more than 1 in 5 of homes sold had both a final sale price below asking and included concessions. About 1 in 6 sales featured both a price cut before selling and concessions at closing. Most revealing, approximately 1 in 10 transactions hit the trifecta: concessions, price cuts during listing, and a final sale price below the list price. Redfin reports that sellers frequently list homes at ambitious prices based on last year's market conditions, only to see their properties languish unsold until they offer significant concessions. In 2025, buyers are negotiating these concessions to help afford homes, with some sellers offering mortgage rate buydowns or paying HOA fees to complete sales. This shift represents a complete inversion of the pandemic market, when buyers would forego inspections, waive contingencies, and pay substantial premiums to have offers considered. Today's buyers can take their time, thoroughly inspect properties, and negotiate favorable terms on overpriced listings. The current 2.5% year-over-year price growth stands in stark contrast to the double-digit increases that characterized the pandemic housing boom. This deceleration signals a market gradually returning to historical norms, albeit with significant economic headwinds still in play. For perspective, typical pre-pandemic annual price growth averaged 4 to 5% in balanced markets. The return to normal price growth masks a housing market that's anything but normal. Behind these seemingly stabilizing metrics lurks a record high financial burden that's causing thousands of committed buyers to walk away from transactions they've already started. The pending sales numbers tell a particularly troubling story about the fragility of today's housing market. While March saw a modest 1.7% monthly uptick in pending home sales, this apparent stabilization is misleading when viewed in proper context. Current pending sales activity remains stubbornly below pre-pandemic levels despite years of recovery time. All 3 key sales indicators, pending sales, closed transactions, and existing home sales, continue to underperform compared to historical benchmarks, suggesting a market struggling to regain its footing amid persistent affordability challenges. Despite slight improvement in mortgage rates, with the average 30-year fixed rate falling to 6.65% in March, the lowest since October, rates remain more than double the record lows seen during the pandemic. These elevated borrowing costs are the primary anchor weighing down market activity, keeping countless potential buyers on the sidelines. For those entering today's market, the financial strain has reached unprecedented levels. The median monthly mortgage payment has now hit an all-time high of $2,819, representing a 2.5% year-over-year increase. This represents real financial pressure, forcing many would-be homeowners to stretch their budgets to breaking points. This payment level represents a significantly larger percentage of household income than historical averages, creating fragility in household finances. With budgets already stretched to their limits, it's no surprise that a substantial 13% of pending home sales fell through last month, the 3rd highest March cancellation rate recorded since 2017. In absolute numbers, approximately 52,000 U.S. home purchase agreements were canceled in March. Only the pandemic's initial shock in 2020 produced significantly higher cancellation rates. The geographic distribution of these cancellations reveals particular vulnerability hotspots. In Anaheim, California, 13.5% of pending sales fell out of contract in March 2025, up from 12.8% the previous year. Austin, Texas experienced a sharper increase to 13.2% from 11.3%. Fort Lauderdale maintained one of the highest cancellation rates at 17.5%, though slightly improved from the 18.6% in March 2024. These cancellations represent the breaking point for thousands of Americans who entered contracts with genuine intent to purchase but discovered the financial reality was unsustainable. Many buyers find that between rising insurance costs, property taxes, and maintenance expenses, the total cost of ownership extends far beyond that record high mortgage payment. The combination of high home prices and elevated interest rates has created a vulnerable housing ecosystem. Each additional basis point on mortgage rates directly translates to thousands in lifetime borrowing costs, making the market extremely sensitive to rate fluctuations and connecting housing directly to broader economic uncertainties. The canceled transactions demonstrate that many buyers are already at their financial limits. Even small economic shocks could trigger a more significant market correction. Now, what does all this data tell us about our central question? The housing market's current sensitivity to interest rate fluctuations has created a uniquely vulnerable environment that could be easily destabilized by economic policy shifts. With homebuyer payments already stretching budgets to breaking points, any additional economic uncertainty could trigger wider market reactions. Until we gain clarity on the Trump administration's tariff policies, expect mortgage rates to remain the dominant market driver rather than traditional economic indicators. Despite these concerns, the current supply and demand relationship suggests we're in a balanced market, not heading for an imminent crash. For a deeper understanding of housing market cycles and how to identify true crash indicators, check out my recent video where I examine 100 years of housing data to smoke out the causation of all housing market crashes.